Hello and welcome back to the Tower Yoga podcast. I am so thrilled to be sitting here with a dear friend, Christian, who is our partner that we collaborate with on our retreats to Peru. So we do have another retreat in Peru coming up this summer, June 20th through 29th. And it's been a couple years. So this will be, I believe, our fourth retreat in Peru, fourth retreat with Christian, fifth time to be back personally. So I'm just so delighted and so excited. And I thought it would be really cool to bring Christian on and, of course, interview him and then to maybe talk about later in the episode what you could expect on a retreat in Peru with us. So, yeah, as I said, today's episode feels really close to my heart. Sitting down with you, Christian, thank you for being here. We were just off of air talking about how it's been almost a decade since James and I met Christian in 2017, and he was our guide to Machu Picchu. We did the Salcantay trek, a 5-day hike to get there. And that first trip really changed something in me. And since then, Peru has become a place I return to. And I really don't feel like it's just a physical place, but it's like a spiritual place that I return to. So, yeah, just to recap, we have another retreat coming up this summer, June 20th through 29th. And it's cool because around that time, it's summer solstice. There's Inti Raymi, the time of the sun, and it'll also be my birthday while we're there. So it's just really cool. Christian, I think I've set the table enough for this conversation. Why don't you introduce yourself and yeah, just let the listeners know anything else you want to before we get going in the conversation.
Thank you very much, Kelly, for having me in this platform. I am really glad to be here. And hi, everyone. This is Cristian Peña, a tour guide in Peru with 16 years of experience doing this. And yeah, so I'm really happy. And also I'm excited to host you here again and help you with another summer retreat, showing you the Andes and the lovely sightseeings that we have around. And Machu Picchu is waiting for you again. This is something that the Andes is causing also in some people who are coming for a first time. Yeah, as you said, you're right. It's been almost 10 years since we met for a first time.
Yeah. So just to take the listeners back a little bit, we can go into like a small little story time. Jameson and I went in 2017 and we really wanted to meet Machu Picchu. We wanted to go on this 5-day trek. And so we go and we get there. And the night before we're meant to leave, Christian comes and meets us. We're at a place called the Healing House in Cusco, which is still there. And Christian comes and he tells us that we were supposed to be on a tour of this 5-day trek with this Australian family. And it was like a number of them. But I guess something happened, as things do, and they couldn't make it. But Christian was like, I'll still take you. And we were just like, so it's just going to be us two. And I couldn't imagine. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like getting this private trek as a couple, you know? And so, yeah, we talked about it and we're like, as long as that's okay, like, yeah, we still want to go. So we went, just the three of us, and it was really beautiful. And Christian was like giving us all of the like information and everything. And I think that it was maybe the second day. And Jameson's like, we want to know all the stuff you're sharing with us, but like, do you want to just be friends? Because it was very formal. You were being a very like great and respectable and like, you know, great host. But Jameson's like, do you want to just like chew some coca? Do you want to just like, can you like, I think we played cards and had like a beer, you know, with the porters. And it ended up just being like, I felt like I was on a backpacking trip with like homies. Like it was just so fun. And we learned so much from you. And then we had this beautiful trip. We get back and this is like, it blessed my heart. Christian was like, do you want to meet tomorrow? Like after we'd already done the track, and you're like, we can go to the market. And I was like, I love you. So we did. You showed us around town and you didn't have to do that. And you did that as our friends. Like you didn't, yeah, it was just so cool. And there's something about being in the Andes and being in those mountains, and of course, Machu Picchu, but other sacred sites and spaces. But I really felt like the spirit of the Andes like touch me in like such a um spiritual way. I felt really connected. And then I kind of started diving into a lot of the Andean wisdom traditions and learning about how they parallel a lot with the yogic wisdom traditions. And so it was like, no wonder it spoke to me so much. But I just knew I would like to someday bring people back here. Mind you, this is in 2017. We opened up Tower Yoga in 2018. So Tower Yoga wasn't even formed yet, but I didn't have a huge platform to say, hey, everyone, like, let's come to this place. But I knew it. I knew at that time where I was like, we'll bring people here someday. Like, people need to meet this place. Yeah, lo and behold, we opened Tower Yoga. And then in 2018 and in 2019, we did our first official retreat. We stayed in connection with you, Chris, over those 2 years, and we developed what we would then do in that first iteration of the retreat was there. And this is where it comes back full circle. That first retreat we did at the Healing House in Cusco, where Jameson and I stayed that first time. Of course, things have iterated since then and over the years changed. And then, the pandemic happened in 2020 and we stayed connected. You actually gave some Spanish lessons to different friends of mine via Zoom. And we just kept staying in contact. And then when we could, again, we went back. I think we went back in 2023 and 2022 and 2023. We've taken a break 24 and 25, and now we're coming back in 26. Yeah, that's kind of the full story there of our
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah, you are right. Yeah, so we met a night before, as you said at the beginning. I was doing my job, right? So, and I was kind of being a guide, and you guys a client. But then when we started to talk about life, Peru, and I didn't even have much idea about yoga until I met you guys. Of course, I met with a lot of clients which they had food restrictions, and then you were teaching me things that so I didn't know. And then we quickly became friends, and yeah, so everything changed. I am really glad to meet you. I'm happy also to have you guys as a friend, and yeah, it's nice to still keeping in touch. We staying in touch. I'm really glad yeah, that you coming back again, and yeah, my family also, and Aaron, he still remember you guys, because he started also to learn how to swim, something that we couldn't do with him, and now he swims, and we found that he likes to do that. Yeah, and the memorable moment of our meeting was the day when we went to San Pedro Market. Beyond of the hike, it was something that you do with friends, right?
Mhm.
So I felt connected. I felt connected with you during those 5 days. And then when I saw Jameson holding the lips and repeating what I taught you, it's like, wow, these guys are awesome. So it's something like, why not? So why not?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was so cool, and then, we met Zenit, well, it was your girlfriend at the time, and you got married, then you had Ed on, and you had a baby, and then we got to see him, and so, yeah, what Christian was speaking to is the last time we were there, after the retreat ended, James and I ended up going back to the Sacred Valley and staying for a while. We were prospecting, new retreat centers for, someday, and, yeah, Christian and his wife and his baby came. And yeah, we went in the water and we just discovered that Edon like wanted to kick his legs and he naturally wanted to like swim. And you're like, he hadn't really done much swimming before. And now here he is, little swimmer. I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah, now he's going really fast, so he's like, wow, he's only 6, almost 7 years, but he's very tall, he's very talkative, and he likes to meet people, and he remembers, so people like maybe when he was 3 years old, he still remember, so when they are coming, he's
Sweet
always ready to
baby.
welcome me.
Well, I can't wait to see him again. That'll be so sweet. Yeah, and, something I'm just remembering in this moment is how incredible, like, that first trip was. I just remembered this because I'm thinking we go in the summer, we go around the same time, and so my birthday's around that same time, and this must be the 3rd or 4th birthday I'm gonna spend there, but in that first trip, mind you, we're hiking. I'm just trying to paint a picture for the listeners. We're hiking for days on end. There are porters that and cooks and things like that, and they didn't know beforehand, but they found out it was gonna be my birthday, and we had been, like, playing cards and maybe having some beer or something at night with them and hanging out. Well, they found out it was my birthday. On my birthday, on, like, this crazy pass that was, like, I don't know how many feet, like 15,000 feet or something like that, like, just below it, wherever we slept, they made me a cake, a birthday cake, and it had, like, a hummingbird on it, and, like, it was decorated. I'm just like, "This is so incredible, like, so beautiful." I just couldn't think of a better way to spend my time in general, but especially my birthday. I guess also what I'm thinking of is, like, we've built so much trust over a long period of time, and, outside of the logistics that we have, navigated and all of the relationships we've built with different restaurants or villages or things like that along the way, every time we do a retreat, there's also this connection that you were talking about that we've been able to like foster, and it's deepened and it's developed, and it's just there's something really powerful that about relationships that are built slowly over years across different seasons of life. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's cool. It's cool. It's very awesome, so to still keeping on touch with just I don't know if I can call a simple trip, or maybe to say one more trip, because at the time, so I have done many times Alcantay or all the hikes around. I met with a lot of people, but this time was special. Yeah, it was special. Yeah, of course, people on the hikes, they are really awesome when they are doing, so birthday cakes or something special for them, especially in those kind of conditions. After they're hiking this Machu, and they're ready to prepare, so your meals. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we will have one day the chance to go back to Salcante. Of course, so since that time
yeah.
changed a lot.
Yeah. So, Christian, can you share a little bit about your background and like how you came into this work? I mean, of course, I know the story. I know you didn't grow up in Cusco. I know the story, but for our listeners, will you just share like, your background, like where you were born, when you moved to Cusco, how you got into guiding?
Yeah, actually, I was born in the Amazon, Puerto Maldonado, but we moved from there to my parents' hometown, and I grew up there. And one day also we moved on to Cusco, because at that time this group of terrorists, Shining Path, it was quite powerful, especially in the small villages. Yeah, and I guess I can say thanks to that, we moved to Cusco, and I studied in Cusco. And of course, since my young age, I was exposed to tourists, because from my parents, they come from, which is a little town 4 hours and a half away from Cusco, is one of these gateways to Machu Picchu by another Inca trail, because we have several Inca trails. And yeah, so since I was exposed, I was really, so involved in this, helping people as I could, because I didn't speak any English at that time. Some of them, so barely they could say things in Spanish, but I was always pointing them, so you can get like this, or like that. And then later on, when I finished school, so I decided to study tourism. And at the beginning, it was like like a job. But then, since I was meeting with a lot of people and also learning more about archaeological sites and And so I became really passionate with this. And so it's been 60 years doing this. I'm still enjoying and sometimes maybe taking more pictures than my clients, So, hey, Christian, it's your first time here? So it's like, no, I don't know. I have been over 400 times in Machu Picchu. Maybe I have thousands of pictures of Machu Picchu. But of course, every time when I go to Machu Picchu, it's different, right? It's not only the site. It's what it has around, the surrounding, the mountains, the clouds, and it's like, Christian, I never seen anyone like you, So being in this place after so many years, so I can think like, hey, I think it's your first time. No, it's not my first time, So I have been here so many times, maybe just Machu Picchu over 600 times, and I have done the Inca Trail more than 400 times. And every time it's different people, and I'm still, so smiling, and no one, so is pushing me to do this. And I really love what I'm doing. There was the time once when, because family, I was thinking to maybe stay more in the city and share more time with them. But at the same time, I was sad. So inside, I was like, how, so I will be away from those beautiful places that I am being most of the time. I think my life is that being in the mountains, in the wilderness, showing people, sharing my time with them, and thanks to being exposed to tourists since my young age. So I have this chance, and maybe that's the brief. Of course, so it happened so many things before I became a guide.
I feel like there's just so many things to touch on here. One of them is, this will be my 5th time back to Machu Picchu. And someone recently was like, oh, like, that doesn't get boring. And I could have just like fainted when they said that. I'm like, what? And I was trying to tell them too that it's always different every time I go, but I realize I'm different every time I go. That it stays in its all its majesty and magic and sacredness. It's always that, but I'm coming different each time. So I have so many photos on my phone. It's crazy. And I'll take a lot more this next time too. And I'll probably just keep doing that. But yeah. And then another thing is, so you were speaking on being born in the Amazon, moving to your parents' hometown, and then Cusco. So when you lived in the Amazon, you probably weren't speaking, because you're like, oh, I didn't speak English, but you probably weren't speaking Spanish either, right?
No, we started here, especially in my family, with Quechua because my parents, so they felt more comfortable speaking Quechua, which is the ancient language that we still speak nowadays, and it's a Peruvian official language. When we moved to a bigger town and Cusco, we had a difficult time learning Spanish, right? But when you are young, you can easily pick up and learn and being into these Spanish conversations. Yeah, it was quite difficult. I remember once I was asking for a place where to buy bread because in Spanish is tanta. And then I'm looking for a tanta, of course, mixing Spanish and Quechua, and they started to laugh. So, what do you want? Tanta? Tanta, we don't know. We don't have tanta, So I went back to her and, hey, mom, so they don't have tanta. How? So, and she went to the store and she brought the tanta. And we forgot to teach you. Tanta means pan. Okay, so next time, so I will buy pan, no tanta. Yeah,
Wow.
and I have so many stories like that. Them, of course, so by the time I'm speaking also behind my brother and my sisters. It's like we learned Quechua, the Spanish, and I'm, I guess, the only one who learned English more than my brother and sisters because they are not really involved in tourism.
Because you're working in so many situations where people, even if it's not their first language, know English. But you were saying that you speak some Dutch or something. Your old boss spoke
No, yeah,
Dutch.
Danish.
Oh, Danish. Oops.
Yeah.
Cool.
Danish,
Yeah.
yeah. That is because, and actually, I met. I think it was in my first. No, when I was studying, I met with this guy from Denmark who was bringing also tourists to Peru, and he needs someone who could help him organizing. And first of all, it was organizing horses. So I
Mm,
knew a lot of people because, as I told you already, Cachorro is the name of this little town, which is one of these gateways to Machu Picchu. And then we also quickly become friends. Now he moved to Peru. Yeah, and
mhm,
when he was bringing tourists, he invited to me to Denmark, and also since I worked for him for many years, I also learned a bit of Danish. So every time when I have the chance to lead some Danish tourists here in Cusco, last year, so I also went to Bolivia with them.
mhm.
Yeah, I'm trying to practice my Danish, and they're still saying the same as my friend. So, hey, Christian, why are you trying to learn Danish? We are only 5 million. So it's like, I don't know. I like it. So I like to
Yeah.
learn languages, and yeah. So that also
I
helped me
really
a little.
love Quechua. Like, you're probably so annoyed with me, but I'm like, "How do you say it in Quechua? How do you say it in Quechua?" Like, every time we're, like, doing something, but it's just really a really beautiful language, and it's interesting to in addition to a lot of the sacred sites and the ancient ruins and, all of the things that the Incans, left behind, then you have it, like, juxtaposed, especially in Cusco, with all of the, I guess, like cathedrals and things like that like obviously came in after from the conquistadors and all these sort of things. And it's just it's really really interesting to see all of that like in action in the culture and where it's been fragmented but then integrated, and that the same person going to mass on Sunday might also be making an offering to the Apu, or the mountain, and the spirit of the mountain. Yeah, it's as someone who has gone and visited this place so many times. It's just a very interesting thing of history that, in the modern world. And it is really cool to be able to kind of talk to you about those things as we are going through some of these archaeological tours and things like that. That's something that I really appreciate, because you have this like deep well of knowledge from being born in the Amazon, and then, coming to eventually Cusco, and then learning to be a guide to meet something that is there, like, is a need there, because obviously it's so interesting and there's such a magnetism and a pull for people to go, because of course like Machu Picchu is a wonder of the world. But and I don't want to get too like out there, but there is also something where I feel like the spirit of the Andes are sort of pulling people to teach them or to remind them about something. And anyways, that's what I feel. I felt very similar pull to India and like the Himalayas. And there's certain places geographically on the planet that just hold so much power and potency. Peru is one of those places. And then also on top of all of that, there's just the transgression of modern day man that have like happened, but we're so resilient as people. And so I look around and I see that juxtaposition of people wearing traditional garb and clothing, and then your most modern, you know, person walking by. It's all working together, and it's such a melting pot, and it's so cool. And it's really exciting. I do know that when James and I decided to go, we really thought of it as going as like a pilgrimage. And we try to invite people that we bring to look at it with that same kind of reverence. And there's a huge teaching of reciprocity in the Amazonian like wisdom tradition of and I'm not thinking of the word aini or something, but reciprocity. Is
Tiny.
that it? Aini. Yes, it's tiny. And so we try to, impart that, because it's something we learned, but also naturally we're kind of going to this place with that. And yeah, do you feel like you notice a difference between people who are coming to like be entertained and be wowed, and like other people who are kind of more on a pilgrimage that are coming with a little bit more reverence, or is it just kind of all the same?
No, of course, so you can meet with people who are coming with different purposes, different goals. Their motivation also is different. And yeah, we met with people who came also as pilgrims because some of the traditions that we have, I met with a family last year which after I told them how really is the traditions in the mountains, because we still have mountains who are keeping the strong tradition of our ancestors, and some of them are direct descendants of Incas or Quechuas is what we call them. And hey, Christian, we also have the same at home, So really, yeah, and it's like they felt even more connected with the mountains. The only difference between you and my countries, we don't have mountains. We have little hills. Of course, they call mountains in the language, but mountains perhaps are more impressed here in the Andes than the places that they are coming from. Not everywhere, but at least this family who was really connected. And in the end, they decided to do a ceremony of offering of Pachamama or Mother Earth, which it was more just to feel more connected. And it's quite interesting what, so spirituality, this spirituality can do with people. And when you think you have only these traditions, these connections with Mother Nature in the Andes, no, it's everywhere. So it's just different
Mm.
perspective. And yeah, it's quite interesting.
It's like it's hard, I think, to be in the presence of those mountains and, like, not feel the spirit. Like, they really do, like, you feel, and I even see it, not even on any kind of medicine, but, like, I can see faces in the mountains, because 'cause they're so big and they're, like, so old, and they do feel like elders or teachers, like, and I think a lot of it also probably does have to do with that people are praying to these mountains, and there is something where, and I've been to places where there's big mountains, like I said, India and New Zealand, and even here we live near Yosemite and beautiful mountains, but there's just something when I think when you have so many people like looking to them in this respected like way, and this, yeah, like spiritual way, that changes the feeling for everyone who's in the presence of them. And so it is something where I have taken back to any mountain I'm around. Like I think more about like the spirit in them and with them. But that has been because for whatever reason, you just go somewhere like, and see the Andean Mountains and how it's like undeniable. It's palpable, you feel it. And so it is cool because then you get to sort of take that with you and you sort of have that lens to view even your own little hill, like near your house in a similar way if you want to, you know? Yeah. Well, really cool. One,
About, sorry, about the
no, no, go for
mountains.
it.
We have people who are calling them, they are our Waikis, which Waikis means they are our brothers. And we still use this Quechua word or Quechua word, Apus, which Apus means spirit of the mountains. And they are going to do reverence and also leaving some offerings on top of them or on the slopes. Yeah, with really powerful meaning. And of course, I shared with you this many times. And we still do some offerings for the mountains with coca leaves and even just carrying simple stones from the bottom of the mountains or from the hometowns. It's a really powerful offering for them. This is something that is still going around here. Yeah, you can even, when you cross mountains or these passes, you can feel the energy is different, right?
You really
And
can.
people, they really are strong believer of that, so they show respect by doing the offerings, blowing the coca leaves, living on top of the mountains and bear it.
And you like definitely impart that kind of knowledge with us. You share these things, that's one thing that I've always felt with you on these retreats and these tours when you're guiding, that it isn't about performance. It's about relationship and relationship with the land, with the people, and like with spirit. And I feel so grateful for you in that. And I know everyone who's ever been on retreat says the same thing. By the way, I told a few people that I was going to be doing this interview today, Linda and Jasmine and people who have been on retreat, and they're like, tell Christian hi. McKenna was like, I want to come back and do a second retreat just to see Christian again. So yeah.
Thank you very much for those messages, and also say hello to them. I guess they're gonna listen the podcast.
Yes.
Hello
They will.
to those beautiful guys, and also who came some years ago. Yeah, it's really nice. I always share this now with my clients that I mean, when you travel, you don't have to come back the same. You can come back a little bit different because every journey is different, and it's not the end. It can be the start or the beginning of a new adventure. When you travel, you always learn something. So you also can meet with people which can, so make you to feel, I think, I know this guy, I don't know from where, so you can also feel connected. That happened to me, so I never met before, so someone, and then it's like, I think I know you from somewhere. I don't know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because I am mestizo. I am half Quechua and half perhaps Spanish, or because we are mestizos. Yeah. And I believe that there is this connection, since our ancestors, they believed in afterlife, or at least that you were reborn to come back here to nature, and perhaps that's the way. I don't know. And that happened to me with you guys, so as I told you earlier, it's like, yeah, I really felt confident, and I don't know, this connection was something, so something that perhaps we're still here talking about, so
I know. It's a really beautiful thing. I feel really grateful for it. And I do think that it extends to the guests who come that, come in and hang out with us. And this is a beautiful bridge for, I guess, inviting the audience into considering coming on retreat with us. I was telling Jameson, I would go back and spend time in Peru, whether we were bringing people or not. And if I'm going back anyways, might as well open the door and invite people to come with who wouldn't otherwise maybe feel like they had the wherewithal to think about the logistics and the this and the that. But I've even told people, like, even if you can't go this year, like, I'll give you Christian's info, like, you go. So, like, I guess what I'm saying is this really is something that in a place I feel so connected with, that I would be coming back at least every few years anyway. So bringing people along, especially because we've iterated so many retreats, it would be like, a shame not to like use this framework that we've worked really hard on developing. But yeah, that being said, like it's something I'd be doing anyways. So I hope that means something to the listener, that this is how impactful this place is, and to not just look at this as like a vacation, although for, most of you, that's how, you will think about it, especially if you're like a teacher or something and you're on summer break, but not to just look at it as a vacation, but to look at it as a journey, like Christian said, and to know that there is going to be transformation that happens, and that you will come back like change, not fundamentally maybe, but you will come back with like a strong impression. So this is a journey, and there will be components of it that feel like vacay, right? But it really is, it's something so much more than that. As a yoga teacher, as I've said, I've felt this deep resonance between the Andean wisdom tradition and yogic philosophy, especially the way that both traditions see humans as a part of nature and not separate from it. And also this idea of and for lack of better words, right, just reincarnation of this like cycle that we're a part of and this ancient rhythm that we are a part of. So yeah, there's a couple things like I made some notes as we were talking about the Aini. That would in a yogic tradition, the Sanskrit word, the language of yoga would be seva or like karma yoga. So it's this idea of reciprocity, karma, like what you give, you get back. And it's this like, it's a very relational kind of thing that is unconditional, or at least its aim is to be unconditional. And then there's Pachamama, Mother Earth, right? All of the elements combined that we are made of and that we go back to. In the yogic tradition, that would be known as Prakriti, and that is nature. That's to say all that is. So some people say God, some people say the universe, but that's what it is. It's just all that is. The apus, like you were talking about, the spirit of the mountain, that would be like the devas or the elements in nature or the demigods, Shiva and Kali and Hanuman and, you know, these different deities. And then ceremony, of course, there's a lot of ceremony in both traditions and there's a lot of practices. So in yoga, it's a sadhana practice. It's something that you return to in order to show respect. There's just a lot of ritual. And then I think presence is something almost that it almost feels like demanded, not in a mean or scary way, but it almost feels demanded when you're like on the land. Even when you're on a track to Machu Picchu, it's almost like you can't not be present, which is wild because I have to do so much to try to be present in my everyday life. But you just get dropped in. And I could see why you would be so sad, of course, if you have to make sacrifices for your family. But I could see why you would be so sad to not be gifted that to just drop in. Of course, you're doing really hard work and everyone and all the porters. But yeah, it's like you're dropped into this like present feeling and it's like almost inescapable. And that's pretty intense, but it's awesome too. And in yoga, that would be the witness consciousness, the one who says, like, you are not the voice, you're the one who hears it. It's, you know, from the untethered soul. It's very much like, for me, anyways, being in like, you know, on the Incan Trail or wherever we were, it's just like, whoa, I very much see myself. Like, it's that witness. I'm not so in my drama, if that makes sense. Like, of course, there's still issues that are going on. There's things that I'm aware of, right? But I feel a little less like in it and more just like, oh, I'm observing that, you know? And there's just these parallels. There's more parallels than that too, but those were a few things I could think of.
Yeah, and yeah, back in what you were saying about the reciprocity, it's quite similar to the Andes because when we do something to be grateful of Mother Earth, we're not wanting to receive anything. It's really unconditional. We just want to be grateful for everything we're getting from nature, from Mother Earth. And Peru has 3 different regions. It has the coastline, it has these Andes, we call the highlands or Sierra. Then we have the jungle. And in each regions, you will find the same thing, right? But they do in a different way. In the
Yeah.
Amazon, they do retreats with ayahuasca. Here, they do retreats with coca leaves, and on the coast, they do with San Pedro, which is a
Mhm.
cactus, you know. And when you ask them, you know, so what do you feel? Because in our conception, we think, you know, so like ayahuasca or San Pedro are some hallucinogenic beverages, right? But for them, no, it's just the way how to be connected. When you ask them what you feel, you know, so I feel connection and I feel what Mother Nature is telling me to do when they are going to chase animals, for example. So they don't say, you know, so we're going now to chase animals or this for to feed our families. They're saying today Mother Nature is showing us what we are going to provide to our families, which is the same on the coast. We have, even if We are in this century, we have people who still believing in that, who is still practicing, and it's nice, so to be in those places where you can meet people and see people, so how still living in harmony with nature. And of course, it's not only on this side of the world, it's, as you said, also in India, or it can be also in Asia. It's quite interesting how
Yes.
people, so found the best way to be grateful of nature and all these deities.
Yeah, and that's the heart of it, is just finding a way to be grateful. And it also reminds me, there is a book that I reread like probably every like other year. It's by a guy called Mark Tora and Ortora, and he wrote a couple books. One of them is The Heart of the Anatomy of the Incan Heart. And yeah, Anatomy of the Incan Heart. He also does a lot of the connecting different yogic traditions and the Incan traditions, and even goes into talking about the chakras. And there is an Incan chakra system actually that aligns almost like to a T with the Indian chakra system. Super cool. And you're talking about the coast as well. And on our first trip, Jameson and I we went to a village where they had not changed their ways. We went on, like, I always say it's so funny. Yeah.
Titicaca is that's in Puno. That's in
Yes.
still. This is part of the Altiplanos. It's in the mountains. It's still on the highlands.
But there was there was it's the highest alpine lake. It's a lake. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jameson jumped in
it's
it,
a lake.
and it's thought
Wow.
I know, it was freezing, but it's thought that there is a chakra there. It's thought that there are chakras on the planet just like there are in our bodies. And the root chakra is, I don't know all of them by memory off the top of my head, but the root chakra is in Lake Shasta, which is not far from me, like it's 5 hours from Fresno. But there is another chakra, which I don't know which one it is. It might be the sacral chakra, which is apparently Lake Titicaca. And so, yeah, that was really cool. So we had gone to Shasta and jumped in, and then like we went to Puno, and then Jameson jumped in there, and I was like, I'm not going to jump in. You jump in for both of us. People like taking pictures of him. They're like,
Yeah, I guess this what these guys doing here and jumping into this cold water. I mean, it's not that cold, but the temperature outside is cold.
yes.
I fell in the lake accidentally once. I went to there as a student, and then I was jumping on the boat, and then something went wrong. I jumped into this. I fell in the lake,
Yeah.
and I was really cold. And then, since the temperature was cold, I started to peel my skin, and it was oof. It was an experience. It was in June, which is our dry season, and over there it's cold. Yeah,
Yeah. But there was people who lived on the water, and we
yeah,
went to a village on like a little island, I guess.
yeah. It's
Of
a floating island made of reefs. It's called Urus. Yeah, they live there, and yeah, it's also another hard life because they live in surrounded by water whole year round,
Mm.
and life expectation for them is also not the same as people who are living on ground.
Yeah, it's
But
different.
it's the tradition, and they live in the same as their ancestors, which we have a legend that the origin of Incas, it was from there, from Urus.
From that lake,
They,
right?
yeah, from the lake, they kind of ran away from another civilization who were attacking them. And
And traveled to
yeah, so
Cusco.
all the way in so many years, and then they founded the city. But of course, they already met some locals, some small group of them living already, and they were dealing with them, like making their daughters marrying with their sons. So that was the way, one of the ways how they unified it, and then
Yeah.
they became a powerful civilization.
Hmm. Yeah. But I guess just to tie up that thought on The like both traditions having a lot of parallels. I think that neither is about escaping the world. It's about learning to live in right relationship with it. And that is something that we'll get to, I think, reflect on a lot at the retreat. Another thing that will be happening at the retreat is Inti Raymi. It's, the solstice, it's the festival of the sun. So we will actually be there during that time. And it just feels incredibly intentional. So I wonder if you can share a little bit about what Inti Raymi represents in Andean culture. Like, why is this time so powerful energetically and spiritually?
Yeah, it's well, in Raimy, as you said earlier, is the sun festivity, and according to some chroniclers who wrote about it, they are saying that this sun festivity it was the beginning of a new year, and then it's kind of they were ending and starting the new cycle of life because it was also considered as the beginning of the Andean agriculture, since agriculture was the base of their economy, and for them it was important to work with and be grateful because they could feed their families for whatever they were receiving from Mother Nature. The sun festivity it was practiced in June 21st, and now we have a lot of places here in the Incas land where they try to represent it something just to and also show their people what the sun can do for them. And we have sundials, projections of the puma shapes on the sides. We have this sun temple. Well, I don't know if we can call it temple because that's a word that came after the conquistadors came. But it
Mhm.
was a religious area, a religious spot which they work with these solstices, summer and winter solstice, which is in Machu Picchu. It's amazing how those guys they found the best way how to see things at a time without at least not clear writing system. And nowadays we are celebrating the sun festivity that we call Inti Raymi on June 20, which is the Cusco's anniversary and the Farms Day. But back in the days, it was June 21st. It's still a quite strong tradition here. Even the, the small towns and communities, they have their own Inti Raymi. Used to be with llama sacrifices back in the
Mhm.
days. They don't do any more llama sacrifices, but they found a way. They still using some other things to recreate it, that celebration and being grateful of that sun festivity. It was the way, also how to start a new year, and we have now more work investigations researched about it, and they say they were doing retreats to reborn. So perhaps that's why when you go to see here, Enco is this place that we have by Cusco. So they go there, they cross this little tunnel to reborn on that day. So they say this is the new rise, or even when you see the shadow of the puma on the side of these sucancas, which are two round carving stones, they say this is the rise of the puma.
Mhm.
It's quite interesting also that like when you are there on that day it's like it blows your mind how those guys they could find this
Yeah.
way, and also the perfect spot where to do that. It's not everywhere. It's in the special occasions where
Yeah.
so they could work with these sunrises.
If I had like one emoji that I had to choose for being around for that festival, it would just be like mind blown emoji. Like just the smiley face with like the brain exploding. It's just like so crazy. It's so awesome and so fun and so joyous. And it feels like a true like new year. It really does. And then the fact that like my birthday's around there, I'm always like, oh my gosh, there's something that just, yeah, I love it. For someone who's feeling the call, what can they expect from traveling and retreating with us? from your perspective?
If they are on the fence about visiting Peru, we would love to have them join us in this retreat, which it's quite relaxed and genuine, and it's a different experience. We always try to do ahead of the crowd, before of the crowd. There is not really early mornings unless it's necessary, right? If we want to enjoy the sunrise in Machu Picchu or something like that. So if they want to really explore Machu Picchu and the Sacred Valley in a more personal way, yeah, this is, I guess, their chance. We will be really thrilled to welcome them and share this adventure with them, to make them to enjoy. Yeah, and this is a different experience. We always try to be, so quite a part of the traditional tours that they can find. And of course, if they come in, we can suggest to advise them, so like let the mountains change them and
Mhm.
listen to themselves, so from inside. And when they go back home, maybe be more adventurous, be more brave, different, because Peru has things quite different to make you to see the world differently.
Mhm. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. And, the retreat, it's, from the 20th to the 29th, and we actually call it more like yoga and adventure camp because while there are some retreat days built in, meaning like a lot of suggestions or optional things to do, but you could just lounge around the retreat center those days if you're more of an introvert and need to let your social battery charge. So there are some retreat days built in, and then otherwise, we are doing yoga every day. We're doing some archaeological tours where we have a 1-day hike that we do on the classic Incan trail to Machu Picchu. So there's a little travel within the travel that happens. This year, we're doing something a little different where in years past, we've stayed at a retreat center in Cusco or in the mountains above. And this year, Jameson and I found a retreat center last time we were there in 2023 in the Sacred Valley at a place called Munay Sanko, which I believe means I love you or something like that in Quechua. What does it mean?
Monay Sonko means beautiful heart.
Beautiful heart. Beautiful heart. And it's
Yes, Monay
beautiful.
is, it's like, it's also depends the context. Mona also is one. It means want. So it's like something that it comes from your heart, like you love something from your heart.
Mm,
So it's like you are kind, but you can say you're beautiful, but from your heart.
yes. Yeah. Like not like just an outward beauty, but like it's an internal beauty.
Yeah, internal.
But this place
Beauty.
is outwardly really beautiful too. They have a meditation cave, they have a cold plunge and a like saunas, infrared saunas. They have a salt cave. There's beautiful grounds. The yoga Maloka or the place that we practice in has these huge, huge like quartz crystals like in the ground with like a cutout that you can like see. It's so cool. The Sacred Valley is a little lower in elevation than Cusco and it's a little warmer. So we do think that that's going to help people adjust a little bit more in those first couple of days. And it'll be our launching point, though, to all the different things that we're going to do. The pace is not rushed. It is intentional. We do pack a lot in, but we try to work really hard on not, making things so it's like too much or overstimulating. And as I said, there are a couple of those retreat days built in because I know everyone's a little different. Some people are more go, go, go. Other people need it to recharge a little bit differently. It's a beautiful experience. So there is, of course, like the group dynamics and through the yoga practice and the different ceremonies and land connection rituals that Christian you teach us does make an intimate feel in the group. I think we feel that connection and that closeness, but there's also, I think, space to just kind of be in your own energy and in your own place too. Yeah. And again, it's a journey and it's really awesome. So, I keep saying it's a collaboration between like you, Christian, and us, Jameson and I, but also I'm bringing in like and Pachamama and the Apus and everything. So there's that there too. The retreat isn't solely about checking out Machu Picchu or taking that off of your list. Although, that's a big, like, climax of the experience for sure, but it's about being in relationship with the land and the people and yourself, and yourself. So, yeah, the dates are June 20th through 29th, uh, and I'm really, looking forward to being with you again, to inviting more people to come with us. And so, Christian, I am so grateful for you, for your guidance and your friendship and the way you hold this land with such reverence. Yeah. If you listeners, if anyone, like Christian said, if you're kind of on the fence, I hope that this swayed you to jump on over and take the plunge and come with us. But if you need a little bit more information, of course, check out our website. There's a retreats page on the website, toweryogafresno.com, and you can see more about pricing, about other kind of logistics and things like that. You're also more than welcome to email us at hello@toweryogafresno.com, and we can set up a phone call, a meeting. We'll go have coffee, whatever you want to help you feel more comfortable about coming. Some people have asked, can I bring my kid? We haven't had a guest bring their kid with them yet, but I will say I brought my child Star when they were 11 and it was awesome. So I do know that there's some of these days that have a lot of walking and all this kind of stuff, and there is a whole day hike to Machu Picchu. So that might be something to kind of be aware about, but yeah, that's something I just kind of wanted to throw in there. Yeah, so just if you do feel pulled or called, trust it and do a little more research, connect with us if that feels right. And yeah, some places don't just welcome you, they remember you. And Peru is one of those places for me, for sure. So every time I go back now, I feel like I could cry thinking about it. I feel like welcomed. Like an old friend, just that's like, hey, welcome back. I feel that. There's other places I go to and I like because they're fun, but I don't feel that there's any kind of imprint there when I go back, But with somewhere like this that just has so much like meaning, it's really, really cool. Yeah. Well,
Wow,
thank you,
that was
Christian.
really, really powerful. No, thank you, Kelly, to you to invite me and share with you our experiences and also a little bit of information what they can expect it when they are here, when they are in Peru. But of course, we have more time here to see in situ, and being there is different, right? We can spend hours and hours here, but it's not
We
the
should
same when
go.
you.
Yeah, no, you just have to come and experience it. And, I was talking a lot about I feel this deep spiritual connection. So I think I'm like sharing a lot about that. But there's a lot of just straight up like fun to be had, like dancing on trains. Like we've done zip lining before. We have done so much fun stuff. There's like, llamas and there's like alpaca, and there's just straight up like fun to be had. The food, amazing. So much amazing food, so much beautiful music, so many cool like artifacts and people making things the same way they have for like hundreds, if not, thousands of years. It's like so cool. So there's like a lot of culture. Of course, there's art and music. It's not just like nature and the mountains and this and that. We also do a tour in Cusco, in the city, like all these kinds of things. So there's just, if you like good food and if you like, music and art and nature, and if you feel like you are ready for more of like a spiritual kind of like journey and connection, if you are just someone who likes to travel and you're interested in the way that other people do things and how they live, like this is seriously, it's for you. It doesn't have to be that you're like, oh, I'm ready to go and have my whole life changed and like have this deep, profound experience. Although I hope that for anyone. It could be that you're just like, yeah, I want to go and I want to buy a sweater and I want to go see Machu Picchu and all these kinds of things. Of course, I'm going to really, really try to like invite you to deepen that to get everything you can out of the experience and to offer to the experience what you have to give. But yeah, I don't want to alienate anyone who's just like, well, I might just want to go because I'm curious. Like, that's cool too. Come on down. We'll hang out with you.
Yeah, looking forward to host them and to meet you again here in Peru. And
Yes, we
of
will
course,
see
Cusco.
you very soon. It's going to be here before we know it. So again, thank you so much. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Okay. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you. Thank you very
Christian.
much, Kelly.
Bye
Bye,
bye. Thank
Kelly.
you. And bye,
Bye.
listeners. Until next time, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Bye bye.